take projection.
Welcome everybody to Taking On Sports. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I am all right. A little disappointed with my Mavs, but overall still pretty good.
That's understandable. It was
Yeah,
kind of a rough 2 games in Boston there.
yeah, it was.
We'll get
Yeah,
right into that. But yeah, Boston definitely asserted themselves as
they
the
did.
favorite.
They
Um,
did.
so break it down from your Mavs standpoint. What went wrong for y'all, and what went right for them to
Well,
go up 2-0?
yeah, game one, Porzingis just killed us, and it was over by halftime.
Yeah.
We made a little valiant third quarter effort, but yeah, that was, you could just tell that went our night. Tonight, we had opportunities. I just, way too many turnovers. And man, especially, Luka had what, 6 turnovers himself, didn't shoot well from the free throw line. Just the little things that you have to do on the road to win, especially when you're playing Boston.
Hmm.
Gotta hit your free throws. The threes aren't falling. Like really, we became accustomed to someone stepping up in big threes in the past series. Hopefully, it'll get. The offense will run a little smoother in Dallas. We're not getting a good movement really of the ball. And Kyrie shot well. Just we had chances in game two, but when you have those chances against a team like Boston, you don't take it and take advantage of those chances. Yeah, you're not gonna win. They're not gonna make the mistakes to give you a game.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. No, I think you nailed it on the head. Of everything. Boston is too good of a team. I mean, any
Yeah,
team in the playoffs, but especially the team with the best record in the league, number one
yeah,
seed. You can't make the mistakes they have, and
no,
you almost have to play, especially going on the road. And
perfect
home
ball.
home court isn't. Yeah, exactly. Home court isn't what it used to be in sports, but
No, but
Boston Boston's a pretty good home court advantage.
it is.
And they're rocking games.
Yeah.
The first 2 games of the finals. Yeah, like you said, you gotta play perfect. And so what do they need to do to turn it around here? I mean, you said Mavs in 6, still possible technically.
What we need to do,
Um,
we just have to get back to
what's
what
been
we
missing?
do.
What do they need to do?
Just to supporting shooters. You know, um, Derrick Jones hitting big threes. Kyrie hitting shots. But that's some of just. I think some of it just on the road. I think we're. I think we'll be better at home. I think that we saw that we can play with Boston. Now it's just a matter of now that getting down and just saying, hey man, we can. We're still there. We haven't lost at home till you lose at home.
Hmm.
And but I think they just have to come out and really play with the confidence that they played in through the up until this point. I don't think they've looked the most confident in Boston. We maybe gotten punched and then kind of look like, oh man. And it's one of those things. Luca and Kyrie had a good first half, and we're still down three at the half.
Hmm.
And then end of the third quarter, got it down to six, and then they hit the half court three. And then the third, I'm like, dang. you know, just, just the little things. And we know we were around, but every time we did something, and that's what good teams do. Boston just closed the door every time. We made a little run or got it back close, and they're going on a little run themselves, and
Hmm.
so it's just a matter of shooting better, not turning the ball over, and just regaining the confidence, that hey man, we're in the finals too. We need to, make a run there. So I'm sure game three in Dallas it'll be rocking. We gotta take advantage of that. I think we have to get a big win there because they have to get their confidence back a little bit because man, you go down 3-0, you're dead. So
Hmm.
it's do or die pretty much game three. So
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that do you guys have to win the next 2 in Dallas to have a chance?
yeah, I think so. I don't think we can go down 3-1. because that involves winning, uh, what, two in Boston.
Yeah, that'd be pretty tough. But no, I generally agree with you. Some of it is just bad luck. Like who
Yeah,
knew that Kristaps Porzingis would come back
yeah,
uh,
and just
from what 37 days off or whatever it was,
and just
and
have a great, just look like
just
he have an all star
unbelievable.
type performance.
It was in
I
that one
mean,
highlight from game one that everyone showed that stretch where he hit a big three,
yeah,
got a huge block, and then got another
yeah,
block. It's just
yeah.
ridiculous.
So wow, yeah,
I think I talked
yeah,
about it last week. He was the X factor. He's the unknown because if
yeah,
he came in rusty, then maybe y'all could take advantage. But he came in
right. He had a
on
hell of a
fire,
game.
NBA
He
Jam
had
on
a
fire. Just
yeah,
yeah.
he had a amazing game one, and then
Hmm.
today, you know, Drew Holiday had a huge game,
Yeah. What
and
26 from
then
Drew?
yeah, and then what's his name had a big day for him too. And he's kind of the unsung hero in Boston. He doesn't have it. I can't think of his name. Was it Derek White? He's
Derek
kind of the
White. Yeah.
unsung guy. I mean,
Hmm.
he doesn't get a lot of the hype, but I mean, he had some huge threes there at the close of
Hmm.
the game for him there. And that's just a difference, and their role players and different people showed up in key spots. I mean, because I mean, even Tatum didn't even have a good game again. He's had two
Yep.
off games, and yet they're still
And
2-0.
yeah, I mean, no, you nailed it. I was just about to say that. Yeah, you have to. That's how you win championships. Is you
Yeah,
got to have your role players do their
right.
part. And
Yeah,
Tatum didn't just have an off game. He pretty bad game in 45 minutes tonight. He was six
yeah.
of
Six
22,
at 22. Yeah,
one
he
from
still had some
seven from
big.
three. Yeah,
I mean, he was big with his assists, so yeah, he
yeah,
was. I mean,
12
that's the
assists, and
one
he
thing.
he
Yeah,
hits timely shots. I'll say that too.
right. Yeah,
But yeah, no, you
yeah,
you need more than that. You need more from Kyrie over the first two
yeah. I mean,
games.
Kyrie,
He only
he was seven
has
of 18 tonight. He only had three
yeah.
3-pointers all game. And then I mean, you look. I mean,
He has not made he has not made a single 3-pointer yet in
no,
this series.
yeah.
8 from
I
3,
mean,
only 28 points total between the two
right.
games. He's shooting 35%. You got to have more from Kyrie.
No, you gotta have. I mean, he's the number two guy.
Yeah.
He's. I
Um,
mean, he's a bona fide star. I mean,
mhm,
I thought he was gonna come out a little more tonight.
mhm.
Luca had some moments, but I mean, in the second half, he went quiet.
Yeah.
Gafford was okay. I mean, he was. But, we had some role players. I think did probably over. The series against OKC and Minnesota. We had some role players that did things that I think they overdid what people expected of them, and now we need that again. And we can't guarantee that we're gonna get the same stuff that we did. PJ Washington had huge games. Derek Jones has some huge games. So you hopefully going back home, the crowd get behind you, get some momentum. Those guys will start filling their shots again, and just have to weather the storm and have to win game three. It's crucial.
Yeah.
It's do or die. So, hopefully they come out on fire and just handle business. And, hopefully we get a chance to head back to Boston 2-2. Is all we can hope for at this point. But,
I mean, yeah, that's all you can do. Take it game at a time,
yeah,
and
game at a time. Game three is all that
mhm,
matters right now. And we'll go from there. But, kudos to Boston. I mean, they've done exactly what they needed to do. They played great defense. Had to hit, they've been clutch when they need. They haven't shot well for a lot, but they've been clutch at the right moments, and the defense has turned on at the right times, and they've forced Kyrie and Luca, into some tough situations. So they've
mhm.
done well, and it's kind of funny. Last year Joe Mazzulla, they were ready to fire him, and now look at him, 2 games
Yeah,
away from a championship.
exactly. It's crazy. It moves fast. Sports world moves
Yeah,
fast.
that it does. That it does.
But yeah, That's pretty much it. I mean, I think
Yeah,
to say on that, it's like I said, what's the game? Tuesday is that next time they play? Wednesday,
yeah, I believe it
Tuesday.
is Tuesday or Wednesday. Yeah,
They'll be back in Dallas, and yeah, maybe the home court will reinvigorate y'all. And I definitely, I don't, who dangerous making predictions for us. It is Wednesday, by the way, but I definitely
yeah,
don't think Boston will get the sweep. I think
no,
Dallas is too good, and they've been playing too well in general.
yeah.
But
I
yeah,
think they have a lot of pride, so yeah, I don't think that they. But who knows? Just gotta take it one game at a time, get our confidence back, and hopefully stretch it out best we can.
yeah. Um, so yeah, let's move on. We'll go next to what do I got? Let's talk Women's College World Series quick. I kind of got a
Oh
little bit
yeah,
of a spin on it. So of course, Oklahoma, fourth straight national title, just first ever softball team to do that.
yeah.
Just cements themselves as the dynasty of college
Yeah.
sports right now.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about them before. It's just not
It's
nearly enough
impressive.
respect for
No,
how good they've been over the past decade
you're
and some
right.
change.
They didn't even give them the number one seed overall this year, and that didn't matter. They still took it to Texas.
It doesn't
Texas didn't even
matter.
a game
Yeah.
in the finals. I
Uh-huh.
mean,
Um,
it's just Oklahoma City just owe you invitation more or less.
Pretty
everybody
much.
just everybody just goes there to be there. Just happy
Yeah. I
to be
mean,
there. um,
looking it up again, of course, except for the COVID year, which I'm sure they would have been there. The last
yeah,
time the Sooners weren't even in Oklahoma City was 2015,
right.
which is ridiculous because we're going on a decade now of them making the College World
Yeah,
Series every year, and then also they've in that stretch they've won it 6 times.
right.
So
It's not like they just went for it for the first time ever. I mean,
yeah,
the
no,
consistency and she's probably one of the most underrated overall coaches.
hmm
And just what her numbers are stupid, and it's just crazy just how much the SEC already the number one softball conference, and then this
hmm
now you in Texas coming to the conference, crazy.
ridiculous. It's going to get real
Yeah,
tough in the SEC.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But that ties the Sooners now tied all time with at second place with Arizona for most titles of all time,
yeah,
with 8 overall. The really impressive part uh, there is that Arizona started when theirs in the 90s. They were the dominant
yeah,
program back then, and
right,
Oklahoma's first was 2000, so they've done all that this century.
right. Because a lot of
UCLA
it was kind of
is.
a West Coast sport for the longest.
Hmm
The SEC the Big 12 kind of we were all late to the game as far as softball. So,
hmm
um,
No, yeah,
so
the
just
SEC was a very late bid, and in fact, Florida is the only SEC school to have multiple titles. They won
mhm,
back to back in 14, 15. A&M has two,
yeah.
but both of those were members of as the SWC or whatever conference softball was in there.
Excuse me. Yeah,
Yeah, but no, yeah, it's
it's
just
amazing.
so amazing, so impressive, and they'll be back next year. They don't slow down.
Yeah, where did they go? Yeah, and that was crazy too because they lost their number one pitcher from last year who transferred to Nebraska to come. I guess he was feeling homesick and still didn't really affect them at all. They lost with a couple more games than what they normally did all year. Didn't get the number one
Mhm,
overall seed. Didn't even win the Big 12 regular season. But all that doesn't matter when you take out then your rival in the the most important part of the season. So I
mhm.
took out Texas when it mattered the most, and Texas didn't even get a win there. They kind of got dominated.
No, yeah, it was not particularly
20,
a close
no,
series.
not at all.
Which actually kind of bring me to my a spin-off question about that. I wanted to ask: would you want to face a hated rival in a title game or series like this? It's a little more possible now with the college football playoff
Right.
for Alabama. It can happen in the
Mhm.
pros, but rivalries
Right.
aren't quite as vicious there. I
Yeah.
was trying to think of maybe
Especially in the
examples.
AFC, NFC. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
rivalry, but there's not. Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, there's no, yeah, with that split, which is why I often say I wish that, the conference thing is outdated. You should just see
Yeah.
the teams. Because
Hmm.
the only example I could think of was a Ravens Steelers AFC title game in 2008. I think Flacco's
Yeah.
rookie year, Harbaugh's first year of the team.
Hmm.
And, as far as my feelings, I hate it. I don't want that. I hate that game anytime it's played
Yeah,
anyway.
because I mean, it sucks to lose a regular season game,
Hmm.
you know, or you lose. For example, you have Alabama, Auburn. If we, you know, s- met them in a national title game, and
Oh.
it sucks when we've lost to them in the regular season. You hear that for 365 days.
Hmm.
But to lose a national title game to your biggest rival, man, I couldn't imagine.
Oh no, you
Man,
you don't
you'd
you
be
don't hear the
sick.
end of that. Yeah, you don't
You'd be
exactly.
sick.
And that's the thing, because those
You'd be
there's
sick.
that's the weird thing about rivalry games is you get pumped up for them in a way. You love winning them and all that, but they're also, yeah, it turns your stomach, man. Those really heated ones. I'm not talking. I thought about like Alabama LSU in 2011. LSU's a rival, but they're not that kind of rival.
They're not. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. You
Yeah,
don't live it. I mean,
I
yeah. I mean, they're a rival, but I mean,
hmm
honestly, to me, that rivalry jumped off because Saban came then back to
yeah,
college and went to
e-
Alabama. Before that, it was a rivalry, but it wasn't. And it's kind of jumped off in the last decade. But
hmm
yeah, if we lost to a Tennessee or a Auburn
oh no,
in a
no.
national title game or in the SEC championship game and
Mhm.
losers out of the going to the playoff or something, that would make me absolutely sick.
Yeah,
And
yeah, no.
it's one of those things like I think losing that type of thing is like winning is great, but but losing you just dwell on that. I don't know, something about losing those type of games that hurt you more than winning.
Hmm.
You just when you think about it, we've had some epic. We've had those epic, last two times at Auburn, we've had epic wins there. The fourth
Yeah.
quarter, the
Uh-huh.
four overtimes, the catch and hands on this past year.
Hmm.
But I still think about the kick six or the cam game more than those, just
Oh,
because,
oh yeah.
they make you so sick.
Yeah, the Cam game, as that's forever the one that I always. Just a quick aside, that was always worse to me than the kick six. The kick six was kind of a fluky,
Right.
crazy play, once in a lifetime thing. And I think with Bryce Young's drive and then
Yeah.
Milrose throw,
Kind of.
I think we've kind of erased that. But that
Right.
the comeback, that's just on
Oh,
our field, a chance to ruin their national title hopes.
yeah.
Knock them out of. It was
And
sickening,
then the
sickening.
fact that we're blowing them out.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I don't
oh,
want to talk about it, but yeah,
yeah.
no, I completely agree. No way in hell would I want something like just happen right now. I mean, hell, it was. I didn't like it enough, having to play Tennessee in a super regional. I
Yeah.
didn't want them to put end our season. It was great to end their season,
Right.
but I think about like Duke UNC in the Final Four during Coach K's last year. That would make
That made
Duke
me
fans,
sick.
they will never ever get it. They will wake up in your sleep. You'll think about it randomly in the shower 20 years
Oh,
from
yeah.
now. How did we lose Coach K's last game? That
The
added
last
pressure of
two to
that. Yeah,
Carolina. The last
exactly.
two,
Yeah,
that's even worse. You lost his final home game ever in Cameron. And on top of
yeah,
that, you lose to him a month later in the national semis. You're like, what?
yeah.
Oh, wow. But,
Um,
but yeah, that's tough. But no, man, they're just,
yeah.
they're a machine. Like, they're just unprecedented. Like, it's crazy. I mean, like the only other thing that's been dominant at some point in college sports as of late would have probably been, early, that UConn run when women's basketball. I mean, for a while they had what, like six titles in a row or something.
Hmm.
When that, 2008 to like 15. I mean, they were just running through folks. Other
Yeah.
than that, I mean, this has been extraordinary. And yeah, it's a shame though that just because it's first a women's sport and it's softball, it doesn't get near the
Mm.
highs. But and no one's going to talk about it as much. But what they've done has been simply amazing, and it's not going anywhere either. I mean, they're just going to keep
No.
on recruiting. They're going to keep on bringing in the people, and man, they could, they who knows? I mean, they could go on. They could win 4 or 5. If they won 3 or 4 more in a row, it wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah.
Just because they're that good. It's
No,
more
yeah,
shocking when they lose than when they win.
absolutely. Yeah. Um, I think another thing too about the women's college world series, it's another reminder too of what a shame it is we're losing the Pac-12. um
Man, it
and,
really
you
is.
know, we talked about it a minute ago with, they're still the most dominant conference. They have I just had it pulled up. Where is it there? uh
I mean, UCLA's had excellent
18, I
softball.
think I
Arizona,
saw, I had it somewhere. I just had the stats pulled up, but I think they have like 18. That's got to be more than that. NCAA titles here. I can do the math right here. That's 8, or that's 20, 22, 23, 24 uh, women's college World Series titles.
that's crazy.
Crazy.
One
Well more than
dominant.
any other conference. Well more. And then in the men's
Yeah,
side, they were just showing up. I got this Kentucky Oregon State game on the TV here. Uh, they were talking about they also have the most men's College World Series titles in the conference with 18.
yeah,
The SEC is quickly catching up. They're at 15,
right.
and a good chance they'll, someone they could add to that number this year. But oh, Oregon State's got a bottom of 9 here. They're holding the tie and run at third. Oh, that's a good hold. Yeah,
Pressure.
right now, yeah. This is late Sunday night. We're recording this. I got the Kentucky Super Regional.
Bottom of the ninth.
Yeah, bottom of the ninth. Oregon State down to their last out. They got runners at the corners. They need to win. Kentucky took game 1,
Yep.
and yeah.
Quietly,
But
Kentucky's had a hell of a season, so I would like to see
great.
them.
Yeah, they were crushing the SEC for most of the year. I can't a little bit of slip toward the end there, but the number 2 overall seed.
Yeah.
It looks like Oregon State's challenging something here. I got on mute. I need to turn on the captions or something. But
That was correct. Talking about the other with the SEC and the Pac-12, just what the Aggies did in the 7th inning against Oregon. I mean, they
oh
were down. They put up 9 in the top of the 7th there.
yeah,
Wow, because they
yeah,
were down.
yeah. It
And
looked like
going into the 7th, I mean, they were down 8-4. Looked like we
mm-hmm.
were gonna get the game 3 in College Station tomorrow, and man, nope, wasn't happening.
Nah, yeah. Aggies turned around. Another
Aggies
team
went
that's had a really good
crazy.
year.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of SEC teams. I mean,
Yeah.
well, look, probably Kentucky. We already have Florida. We
Well,
have Florida, Tennessee,
there's a chance to get 5. I actually
because Georgia
have, yeah. Georgia
got to play
plays
tomorrow.
tomorrow in
Game
the
3 tomorrow. NC
yeah, winner
State,
take all game. You have Tennessee, Florida, who
Florida,
pulled the upset
A&M,
over Clemson. A&M, that's 3 right now. If Kentucky wins, that'd be 4, and if Georgia wins tomorrow, that would be 5 SEC
5,
teams and
5 and
3
8.
ACC teams. Yeah.
Yeah,
ACC's already got 3 in with Florida State, Virginia, and UNC.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
the Pac-12 had a chance to put, I think, 2 in Oregon State.
Yeah,
But like we said, Oregon State's battling for their life. You
hmm
mentioned the A&M comeback, but yeah, just what I was saying. A shame they were losing such a conference with a great athletic history. We joke about what they became in football, for a while, but
yeah.
they
So much
call
history.
themselves they call themselves the conference of champions, and it's easy when if you're a football only fan to forget that, but no, they're a strong conference
I mean, they
in
are. I
every,
mean, they've had,
but
and
yeah,
there's so many sports that they play in the Pac-12. The other, those Olympic sports, we don't even really talk about or
oh
think
yeah,
about that much. They've
like the
dominated,
volleyballs and then
yeah,
stuff like that. They
volleyballs and
dominate.
swimming and
Hmm.
it's all types of stuff that they do that, and it's not going to get a national Because all about, of course, football, basketball, and but yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
the it's just crazy that a conference that's had so much success just fell apart so fast, and
Hmm.
just to how the leadership and the people that were supposed to be able to keep a good thing going just ruined it so badly. It's just mind
Hmm.
boggling to think, the people that we consider the smartest in the room just wrecked the whole conference with the TV deals and whatever
Hmm.
else. And man, just crazy that they just, just, uh, they were too high and mighty and too smart. And then got into
Hmm.
bed with the Big Ten, and the Big Ten act like they
Yeah.
were their friend and took their
And
conference.
slit their
Jesus.
throat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
because it seemed like the Pac-12 and the Big Ten were we got to team up because the big bad SEC, but yeah, the
hmm.
Big Ten played them tough,
Yeah.
hung
Played
them
them
out to
bad.
dry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
but yeah, so it's setting up to be a really good World Series. Florida is the only team that's not a national seed in it.
Yeah.
We got 1 seed Kentucky, 3 seed A&M, 4 seed North Carolina, 8 seed Florida State, 12 seed Virginia,
Hmm.
and then we possible, Kentucky's the 2 seed, Oregon State's the 15 seed if they get in, and then Georgia's 7 and NC State's 10. So
Hmm.
it'll be a good one. I think a couple of our matchups are set, or at least the first round to be Tennessee, Florida State. Um, I think A&M gets the winner of. Oh no, A&M, Florida play each other, and then the winner of this game would play the winner of the Georgia NC State game, and then UNC Virginia is our other matchup.
Interesting.
Um, so yeah, some good stuff there. Um, but moving on from that, I want to talk about something. What else did I have? Oh, I made on our account a thread a few days ago this week. Someone put up this picture, and it was from ESPN. It was from First Take, and the top image is Stephen A. Smith yelling into the camera, and the graphic, the cipher is Mad Dog is mad about Stephen A. being tired on Monday's show. And then on the bottom they had a picture of a um, Sports Center, a screen cap from Sports Center. I want to say around maybe 2012. It's got the screenshot is Geno Smith in a West Virginia jersey, and if you look at the left, it's a Sports Center, and if you look at the left side of it, it's all Sports Center used to do that list of what's coming up next, and it's all highlights. So it
Right.
says like Marshall, West Virginia, Michigan, Alabama, Hawaii, USC, Penn
Hmm.
State, Post Paterno, Oklahoma, Oregon, Clemson versus Auburn.
Right.
And then it has a caption that says, "I feel bad for kids who don't know what it's like to turn on ESPN and watch actual sports highlights."
Hmm.
And this account, College Sports Only, said ESPN's downfall needs to be studied. And I responded to it with some points. I'm like, I think we already really know, but basically my points were that PTI and Around the Horn, when they first came out, they were kind of innovative. They were
Hmm.
unique in what they
Hmm.
brought to, and they're really engrossing. And so they were ratings monsters. And as
Right.
I say that, Kentucky gets strike three. They're moving to the College World Series.
Big,
Um,
big.
yeah, so it's now four SEC teams in.
Whew.
But so I said that, and then naturally, like a lot of things in life, especially corporations, they took
Hmm.
something that organically became cool or successful, and then they tried to
I
make
mean,
everything like that make more
everything into
money.
that. Because
And
remember,
yes, hmm.
when the whole debate thing started, remember it was really started out there to show cold pizza, and it was only just a small portion of it was the debate part. And of course, that was
Right,
probably the most popular part of it because they'd have
hmm.
like, who I can't even think of his name, the
Michelle
dude from,
Beadle, and
and there was a dude from Denver, Woody Hayes used to be on there all the time. And they used to,
yeah,
have
hmm.
They used to argue for like 5, 10 minutes, and then they move on to the next segment. And then it
Yeah.
was only a portion of the show, but of course that was the most popular thing. But yeah,
Hmm.
now just
Well,
been beaten into.
yeah, and that's part of what I think is like not only they just made everything the same, and so they took away
Yeah,
what made PTI around the horn cold pizza unique, and because they
yeah,
made it everything, and they went not only that, but they changed their flagship sports center. They went away
hmm
from the highlight heavy sports center, which used to be like this guy said, the great. You could turn on and actually see
right,
highlights from everything. It
yeah,
wasn't just the big games. You said like I read off that
yeah,
graphic. It had Oklahoma versus
oh
UTEP
yeah,
is one of the highlights you watch, and
right,
why? Because you want to see it. Like even if
because
it's like in wrestling, even squash match. You need to see a squash match from time to time. You need to
right,
know how really good that is. But
yeah,
it's,
exactly.
yeah, that was my larger point. And then I thought the other thing too, the big thing that I've talked about with people that I miss are the sport specific shows that they used to have after Sports Center every night. The
Oh yeah,
your NHL tonight, NFL tonight, baseball tonight. Peter
baseball tonight is probably the one I
Carl
miss the
Ravitch, Harold
most.
Reynolds, and Peter
Yes.
Gammons. Yep. Uh-huh.
I miss that so much because I mean, just because baseball is such a regionalized thing, and you're only
Mm-hmm.
gonna see the most popular team, on your
Mm-hmm.
national games, you're always seeing a lot of the Yankees, you see a lot of the Cardinals, but sometimes it's hard to keep up with how the Mariners are doing, and
Uh-huh.
it's cool to see a highlight, even though you probably, to see the Twins Mariners highlights and, get an insight of, different things that no other people are really going to talk about. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably I love baseball tonight just because they gave you so much about teams you
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that much about,
That's
to be
great.
honest.
Everything. The Diamond Notes with Peter Gammons and
Mm-hmm.
um, the Web Gems.
Oh, yeah, Web Gems run.
Yeah, that was the best thing about you know
Yeah,
Sports Center getting all the highlights, and even then, if they didn't show, they would still do the scores. Remember that when they
yeah,
would do, they'd show your college basketball highlights from a regular season, and then like into other scores from around the country, and they'd give you
yeah.
all the top 25 scores, some big they'd give you mid major scores, some rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
It really was, and then there's nothing wrong with trying new stuff. Like we said, PTI was so successful when it first came
Right.
out. But part of that too, I think another thing now that I think of it is you had two guys, Tony Kornheiser, Mike Wilbon back then, who were just so respected journalists and sports journalists
Mm-hmm.
that their opinion, you cared about their opinions. A lot of these guys
Yeah,
coming up now, not Stephen A, he did his time in the papers too, but
yeah.
a lot of these ex players that come on, sometimes it's just
It's just hot take and hot take this and hot take that, and
exactly, and that's all the
you
shows
have
are
to get
now.
it's all about clickbait and hot takes and saying the
Yeah.
most ridiculous things
Hmm.
possible. Like,
Yeah.
just be,
And that's I listen to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he bitches about that a lot when he talks about NFL and NBA like pregame shows and postgame shows. The only they talk about the only good one is inside the NBA, of course. With Chuck and Kenny and Shaq and
all right, because they
Ernie
just give
Ernie
you,
Johnson
yeah,
because
they just give you
because
their opinion.
yeah, they just talk and it's a free flowing conversation. But when you get these
Right,
other, one of the big things he harps on is that these like especially these NFL shows, they got like 8 guys, and so they none of them have a chance to actually flesh out a full point.
right.
And so that leads to what you're talking about is like they're just trying to get a sound bite, so it's real quick. It'll be some random quote like coming up next, or the
Like,
is
yeah,
Dallas
like,
imploding, yeah.
right. And then like the Warriors probably because he gives so many hot takes. I mean, of course he has experience. He's the NFL quarterback, but Dan
Hmm.
Orlovsky, some of his hot takes, I'm just like, you
uh,
can't believe some of this
mhm.
stuff. Like, there's
Yeah.
no,
Well, and it's ridiculous, and I talk about that with anytime I talk about like kind of the fall of journalism, it's because
yeah,
it became about money driven. It's
clicks
about
and yeah, it's about
clickbaits
getting
and
clicks and
and views and engagement.
yeah,
In the social
yeah.
media area, it's about engagement,
That's all
and
it's about. Like, it's not so much
it's
your content. It's
yeah.
if people
Hmm.
know you, they're gonna click on your stuff, and then advertisers want to put their thing on your
Hmm.
article, and you're gonna make X amount of dollars from that, and That's what it's all about. And that
Hmm.
you could write it. If people like you and they, want to
Hmm.
see what you're, that you could, these days, you could pretty much write anything and someone's going to look at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
People
There's
just want
a
attention, good or bad.
yeah, and there's room. It's like when I talk about country music with my friends, and I talk about how much I
Mhm.
hate, bro country and the crap that's on the radio now and all that, blah blah blah. And I'm sure some people with maybe hip hop or whatever might say the same thing, but like
Right.
what when I say how much I hate it and blah blah blah, it's not real country, and people go, well, it's what a lot of people like. I'm like, I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve to exist. Um,
You can
there's
have
room.
both.
You exactly. You can play the Applebee's fancy like song, and you can
Yeah.
also play stuff that's more traditional or maybe
Right.
truer.
Yeah.
And the same thing for ESPN and sports networks. You can have
Right.
your hot
You
takey
can.
shows, and you can have them on there, but give Sports Center what it should be. Give me the highlights. Bring back
Right.
baseball tonight. Bring back
Yeah.
NHL tonight. I remember a time when ESPN got rid of the NHL rights. They didn't even show it, and they didn't even play NHL highlights or talk
Yeah.
about the
I
NHL for
remember that.
years.
It's like it didn't
And
exist.
it was
It's weird.
ridiculous.
It's
We're
weird.
not talking about you not talking about the America East Conference basketball. That's fine. Okay, it's small,
We're talking
but
about a big professional sport.
exactly. Yeah, you can't. And now, of course, they have the rights back, so they push it and push it, and Barry Melrose
Yeah.
is back and all that. But like, it
Yeah, it's
was
weird.
ridiculous for it.
Right.
Yeah, and I used to
Yeah.
love, but I'm with you. Baseball tonight was the best one, but every night, I played hockey growing up, big hockey fan. NHL tonight,
Yeah, NHL
it's
tonight was great too.
still hear
Yeah.
that music because exactly what you said on Sports Center, you might only get a couple minutes of highlights, but then when if you waited around, you got to that, you could see in-depth analysis and these guys
Yeah.
talking about it, and they
And that's
really
the thing,
dug
they would
into
just
it.
talk about the analysis of why this and this happened in
Hmm.
the game itself. It wasn't about,
Yeah.
oh, this is why Lamar Jackson's gonna going to the Super Bowl. Everything is always about everything's always about winning a championship or
Hmm.
their whole career, LeBron MJ type stuff, or who's the
Hmm.
next Mike, and that's all we seem to debate these days, rather than just. Sometimes you just want to see a game for what it is. You know, you want people to break down the game. I mean, that's why it's cool having the former pro athletes, because they understand it to a level that we don't. I mean, we're
Hmm.
sports fans, but I mean, obviously they played it, they lived it, so they have a certain insight that we'll never have. And sometimes you just want to hear and some still do it, but you would like to hear more just people breaking down the game about why this worked, why this didn't
Hmm.
work. Because I can get a hot take from anybody.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. No,
I want you. I want someone who played the game. I want your insight on why you
mhm,
think this didn't work, why this worked. You know, maybe you were involved in the championship, so you can give us a thought. Game
mhm.
one, you're so nervous, and I want to hear that from you rather than you know, um,
Lamar's never going to win
compare.
a Super Bowl. He's not a,
He's
he's
not a
been around for
clutch guy. Like,
he started for 5 years, man. MJ didn't win his first title till what, year
right.
8, year 9? It's
Right.
it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I would. Yeah, I want all the former athletes. It's cool. I have a hot take here and there, but man, let's get back. Yeah, I guess sometimes some of the basic stuff that made
Mhm.
ESPN great for so long, and I think some
Yeah.
of it too. Yeah, it's just that everybody wants yeah, we just want that crazy reaction. That's what everybody's
Hmm.
looking for. And like you said, there's cool. We can have that, but not every show has to be that. Not
Yeah. No.
everything has to be, you
Yeah, well,
know.
no. One thing I always say when talking about anything really, especially journalism, but in general life, is we there's no room nuance. Nuance and
Yeah.
depth is gone from conversation these days, and that's
Hmm.
what those shows used to bring. Is they would look at these nuanced things, and like you said, it's good to have the players' opinion. I do enjoy a lot of these ex players that are on here because, like you said, they have a different perspective than we do as fans and even as writers. They do, but also not
Hmm.
every guy that retires needs to be. put a microphone and put it on TV, because some
No,
of these guys
no.
they get are just terrible. They're just terrible.
Yeah,
Not everybody is a what's his name, that tight end, Greg Olson. He's great,
yeah,
or you get some of these guys that are in studio that are really good. I think Ryan Clark's one of them. Football. I think he's a really good, former player.
right.
That means something for me if I'm saying
Yeah,
a good
give
thing
us
about a
something to
Steeler.
still it.
Yeah, but no,
And
you
LSU
have
guy.
and LSU got exactly a double. But I really enjoy when he's on, because he
Yeah,
he has that nuance and depth to his
right,
points, and not just his opinions, but he, like you said, he analyzes things. He gives us
right,
analysis, which is more than just I think this will happen. It's
right,
okay. You can say you don't think, using again Lamar as a example. You can say you don't think Lamar's clutch, but then provide me examples, provide me
right.
analysis why you
Why you
think
think?
that, and not
Why you
just some
think
hot
that? Or,
take.
right.
Because that's
We
that's
can
what
go
those
back
shows
and you
used to
can.
have. Yeah, they had a
Right.
good mix of your capable host to do the highlights and lead it, and then your guys
Hmm.
like maybe your former players. Harold Reynolds, perfect at baseball tonight. Going back
Yeah.
to that, Carl Ravitch, one of the best hosts ESPN's ever had, one of the
Oh yeah.
top guys ever.
For
Harold
sure.
Reynolds, former player who was great in the mic, like knew what he talked about, was absolutely
Oh yeah.
great at his job. And then Peter Gammons didn't play, but a guy who had covered the sport and been around it for 50 years, whatever,
Yeah.
forever, man. And so that was just a perfect show. And then they did the same thing when
Hmm.
they would do NHL tonight. Actually, I think Carl
Yeah.
Ravitch hosted NHL tonight too a lot.
I think you did. Yeah.
But yeah, had Barry Melrose, who was a former coach and player. He,
Hmm.
but also great and analysis.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit, because I said it online this week on the Taking on Sports Threads account. And it just made me think it was a good topic. It's a shame that guy's right in the tweet. I do feel bad for kids. Young people who turn on SportsCenter now, and it's just they might talk about 3 different games over the course of a hour long episode. And
Right.
we used to get highlights from every major sports
Every.
league,
Yeah.
college leagues. We'd get a top 10 and a did you know thrown in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did you know it was great?
Yeah, and if you wanted your, in-depth analysis, you hung around, or if you were lucky
Yeah.
enough to have like TiVo in its early days,
Hmm.
you'd you'd
The core
record,
baseball tonight.
yeah, or and they had them all too for every sport. They had, the NBA
Yeah.
one, they had the NFL, they had a college
Hmm.
football one, um, so yeah, it's just a long gone era of sports,
Yep.
um, particularly ESPN, but
Yeah.
uh,
And then it seems like everything just
mhm.
is about. And that's just kind of the whole social media
Yeah, and
craze
part of
I
that
guess
is
we're all
just the.
part of is.
Hmm. Yeah, and part of it is that now you go online to YouTube for highlights or whatever.
Yeah.
But it still sucks not to be able to get everything, because you have to specifically search that. The best thing about
Right.
that in those days was, like I said, you turn on SportsCenter for an hour
And you get
and you know
everything.
what you're getting. You were seeing everything. Like it
Yeah.
was
They would
like,
go through and at least give you
uh,
3 or 4 highlights of every major league game that would be on
yeah,
TV.
yeah, you get, and even if it was like 60 seconds of each, guess what?
Yeah.
Then you're getting, that's
That's
still
enough.
great.
I mean, you get an
Yeah.
idea of something going on. I guarantee, like, I'm not even going to look at ESPN because I guarantee tonight 90% of it is going to be NBA Finals.
Yeah, and it's going to be like we said, it's going to be a lot of hot takes. A
Yeah.
lot of it's going to be like, can Kyrie couldn't handle coming back to Boston, blah blah blah. And,
Yeah.
maybe some of
Yeah.
that's true, but
Right. I mean,
the way they frame it is not going to be enjoyable. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's
Um.
not. It's not.
Um.
Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I've gotten away a lot from watching a lot of sports shows these days. Like,
Hmm.
I read a lot more, like
Oh
go
yeah.
on
Yeah.
YouTube a lot more, and just like I don't know. Probably my favorite thing to do now is yeah, just with like recruiting or anything or college football. I go like on three and listen to the Bama guys, the BLL guys, online. just
Yeah.
recruiting weekend, or them breaking down stuff or read articles. If I want something, I just but you can't get everything all at once anymore. Like you said,
Uh huh.
you have to specifically go look for one thing to get anything, and then you have to go somewhere else for. But yeah, just I don't know. Yeah, everything's a hot take and no just in depth, no originality, no in depth analysis to, where because I mean you and I can give a hot take just the same as they can.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, like you said, we can come on and say some wild shit and not back it. I mean, hell, look at our predictions,
Yeah,
but
right.
but yeah, that I just wanted to, I think, talk
Yeah,
about that to fill,
and then
some time there.
right,
But
and then if we're gonna talk about that, I mean, we go on to the next point. I mean, then this, this, and I mean this whole last week, just everybody and their mother just spending so much time on Caitlin Clark. And
oh God,
now she
yeah,
got snubbed from the Olympics, and oh, and everybody is having to pick a side. You either love her, you hate her, and it's either she doesn't get enough love or she gets too much love. I'm just like, man,
yeah, and that's
she's a
that goes right back to the lack of nuance and depth thing that
right,
I talk about. Is
yeah.
you nailed it right there. It's like you have to pick a side. It has to be red or blue, black or
Either with
white,
them or
this way,
against
that
them.
way. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It can't be just, back in that day, they would have talked about it on SportsCenter or, NBA Tonight or whatever, and
yeah,
they would have talked about it, and then what they would have done is they would have brought not they would have said it, and they would have had someone come in and be like, here's why Caitlin Clark should be on the team, and then someone come be like, here's why they shouldn't, and then they just would have talked about it. They wouldn't have argued,
right,
and they also would have talked about, which I've seen a couple of people mention this week, but they would have talked about, well, hey, guess what? These 12 women already on the team are pretty damn good, and Caitlin Clark hasn't quite
right.
earned it her way yet.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
then,
it's
some analysis that I saw is another thing too is the Olympic team is not an all-star team.
no, it's not. It's a team.
It's a
Yeah.
team that has to be together for overseas a lot of time for a month at a time.
Hmm.
And you want to get 12 individuals that are going to be able to coexist, get along, and want to play with each other.
And fit in the right pieces. You can't just, I
Right,
mean,
fit the right piece. Because we saw, the '04 Olympics. You went the
yep,
men's side, a lot of talent, but nobody. It was horribly put together.
no direction. Yeah,
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 and we
horribly
saw
put
how
together.
that went. The
Exactly.
women
Yeah.
haven't, faced that as of yet. They did. I think a lot of it, some of it just has to do with the women's international game just hasn't evolved as much as the men's. So it's still an
Right.
easier task, but you still have to put the 12 people. And then you look at it too. Chill, everybody. She's a rookie,
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
unless unfortunate things happen with injury. I mean, I would assume she's gonna end up having a hell of a WNBA career, which
No,
means she
yeah.
probably has 2, 3 chances to be on the Olympic team if she wants to.
Yeah,
Plenty of
exactly. Yeah.
time.
She'll be there. There's plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time.
Yeah, she'll be there.
And that's another thing too is I saw some people talking about like it's good advertising. The Olympics don't need advertising. The Olympics, I mean, it's an international thing that people from all over the world are going to watch, with or without certain people. People watching more for the country,
Hmm.
you know, or people. It's not going to change the fact if she's there or not.
No,
Because, and then even if she was on the team, then people would bitch about one thing, either, oh, she's only playing 7 minutes a game.
exactly.
'Cause-
Yeah, it's
so
there's some
it's just
things. Yeah,
so fun.
people
Yeah,
just can't be satisfied.
yeah. And
It's,
I'm all for the attention that she's bringing to the game because I mean, people come out the woodwork that have never would have ever talked about the WNBA. And I still don't know. A lot of people don't know what they're talking about, but at least it's getting some attention. But you know, you just hope that they start looking at other things as well. I mean,
hmm.
like Asia Wilson's having an amazing season. Dropped 38 the other night and barely gets to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. ridiculous.
But yeah, but it's good where the game is going and the attention. But I get tired of you have to pick a side.
Yeah. Um,
You're either with them or against them. There's no in between.
no, yeah, and it's tiresome. Um,
Very tiresome. Yeah, a lot of time I just stay away from shows in general.
Yeah, I just find the
Just
highlights I want to do, and I'm like you. I have
yeah,
a few websites I read, some accounts I follow, to get some
yeah,
news, and that's it.
yeah.
But yeah, let's see what else do I got this week. That's pretty much it for the big stuff, miscellaneous things. Uh, Today, kind of surprising, Darren Waller announced his retirement at age
Yes,
31. I mean, good for him if he's happy, but a guy that really flashed a lot of unique, unicorn type potential.
no, yeah.
A tight end that played like a
Or,
receiver. Very prime Jimmy Graham esque.
hmm
Um,
Had some good years in as a
in
Raider.
Oakland, yeah, as a Raider, yeah, or Oakland, Las Vegas, yeah, really. I think he
Never really
battled some
did much in
injuries
New
in New
York.
York, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and he's talked about that. He actually had a health scare back in
hmm
November. Spent 3.5 days in the hospital.
Yeah.
His quote was, he said, "It was a scary situation during which he had problems breathing and couldn't
No.
stand up and stuff like that."
Yeah.
So I didn't say exactly what it
Yeah.
was, but basically he said that after thinking about that,
That'll put
he's
things in perspective for you real quick.
exactly, yeah.
Because you gotta think, NFL athlete,
Mhm,
you best best shape of their life, and you have something like that happen. That really puts some in perspective for you.
yeah.
Because you can't say he's not eating well or training well or and still something like that
hmm
can happen. It's just wow.
hmm Um, but good for him. I hope he's happy.
Yeah.
He's a good
Yeah.
story guy. He's actually drafted by the Ravens, but he dealt with
hmm
some addiction problems. Had to go to rehab.
Yeah.
Kicked his habits, and it turned his career around.
That's good. Great to
And
hear.
then like you
Yeah.
said, got gave to the Raiders and really had a Pro Bowl. He became a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
Um,
He was in that conversation as one of the top for a couple
mhm.
years as one of the top guys. It was either him, Gronk, or I can't even think of the 49ers one.
Oh,
Kittle. Kittle.
yeah, yeah,
He started getting in that conversation as one of those top echelon guys.
yeah. Um,
Um, but,
so wish him the best. But the other story, I think the other thing we probably need to hit on at least a minute or so. Dan Hurley being heavily
yeah,
interviewed by the Lakers, the UConn coach, back to back national champ coach, a guy that's
that's it.
absolutely got it made in stores. He
Yeah.
could get a lifetime contract if he wanted it, I'm sure.
hmm
He said after he's talked to the team over the weekend, they made a compelling case
Yeah.
um, for him to become their coach.
Yeah.
He will make a decision on Monday. So maybe by the
Yeah.
time you
That'll be
listen to this,
interesting.
yeah,
We'll
you
know
already
where,
know where he goes. But that's a
it's a,
huge.
wow. That's a,
I think it's bigger for UConn than it is for the Lakers. Do you
oh,
agree?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so. Because, he's made UConn back in the way. Yeah. And he's taken UConn to a different level. And they've fallen off for a little bit. And, after Hurley was the coach and he got in trouble, whatever, and kind of fell off a little bit, and he righted the ship there and turned him into a superpower. I mean, two straight national titles, two dominating Final Four runs. I mean, he's, on the mountaintop by himself. Like no one's touching UConn right now. And yeah, if he goes, yeah, there's names out there you would replace him with, but man, you know, I don't know about you, the next guy. That's a tough situation to come into.
Hmm.
um, just because I mean, this guy's won two national titles, and but, you know he has a tough decision to make though. Because I mean, the Lakers are one of those once in a lifetime job opportunities. I mean, there aren't too many
Hmm.
jobs in the NBA where you're like, oh, wow. It's kind of Lakers, the Celtics, the Knicks, maybe, and kind of those once in those storied franchises that you get one shot, and but man, the, I mean I don't, because I mean he's a legend at UConn, but I mean he could very well in 2 or 3 years be done in the NBA. Just with how fickle the
Hmm.
NBA culture is right now. I mean, throw him a 5 year, $100 million contract, but I mean, how many coaches don't finish their contracts these days in the NBA with winning
Yeah.
records, making playoffs? I mean, we see it so much. I mean,
And
Darvin Ham got fired. I mean, he did what he could. I mean, I
we
mean, it's
saw, what
just
was it, Monty Williams a couple years ago, got
yeah,
fired by the Suns after winning coach of the year.
yeah,
It's a vicious
just
game, and I think that's
yeah,
probably the biggest thing he's got away. Yeah, is the stability he has at UConn, and not just
yeah.
the fact that they're like, okay, hey, you're going to have this job for as long as you want it, unless we
Yeah,
start missing the tournament.
I mean, it's got to be bad.
Yeah, it's
But
got to be
have to be
real bad,
bad.
bad, bad. But not only that, but with the roster, the Lakers. I mean, LeBron's getting
It's
old.
not a pretty.
He's
Yeah,
still great.
LeBron's
He's
getting
still
old.
great. But he's also, we heard what's his agent's name, Rich Paul,
Yeah,
saying in an interview this off season that LeBron's a free agent. So
yeah.
LeBron might not be exercising that option.
He
He
may not.
could be,
Yeah,
which
he
he
might not. He
probably,
might be gone.
and
Who knows?
and they don't have. I don't think they have like any draft picks left from
No,
for this decade.
they've sold everything. Like
Mhm. It
they've
could be
sold
rough
so
going there.
much. Yeah,
Anthony Davis is still there, but you never know with his health.
right.
And the roster
And if
around them,
he's the
they
focal,
have
and if
some
he's
potential, but
yeah,
it's yeah, it's going to be a tough
so,
decision for him because, like you said, that's
yeah,
one of those jobs that's hard to say no to. But
right.
a lot
Because
of comparisons.
there's so much
Mhm.
greatness that comes with it, but then there's so much bad things that go with it too. Because as soon as
Mhm.
things go bad, and that the other thing too is it's so much different being a college coach because you still have so much, even
Mhm.
with NIL and everything, you still have so much control of the program. Man, you go to the NBA. I mean, honestly, man, what is he? Probably the fourth most important person as the head coach. I mean, you go to the Lakers. Let's say
Mhm.
a probably you know Jeannie Buss is the owner, and right
Yeah.
behind us LeBron.
Mhm.
Then the same team is there. There's probably the general manager, and then there's probably AD. He might be the fifth most important. That's something different for a college coach to go
Mhm.
into. You're
And
not the
then
most important.
yeah, and if and if they do what a lot of people think, say they take that second round pick and they use it on Bronny, then that's a lot of weight because now you're responsible for developing him into, probably unfair expectations for him. A lot of times
Yeah,
that happens with, famous sons of athletes,
exactly. I mean,
musicians,
it's
any
how
walk
the
of life, really, but
right. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough as is, and then I
uh,
don't. Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting decision. 'Cause, I mean, just because I mean he's a legend in Storrs, Connecticut.
yeah.
In 2 or 3 years he could be out the NBA and move on. I mean, you gotta think. I mean, they moved quickly away from Darvin Ham. I mean, he made the Western Conference Finals last year,
Hmm.
and he lost to the champs. I
Hmm.
mean, this
Back to the
year
playoffs
they,
this year, won the in season tournament for what that's worth.
hmm yeah, and lost again they lost to what, Denver again. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
I don't think it's a coach that the, there's not a coach who could have come into the Lakers this year and beaten Denver. It's just they're not built for that right now.
No, yeah, and
They,
that's what
they
I
don't
was
have
talking
the
about.
makeup.
It's the roster situation there
Yeah,
is shaky, and especially
yeah.
now with these new cap rules
Hmm.
coming into effect in the next couple of years.
All right.
It's not like they can do what they've done in the past, which is, hey, we're going to
Yeah.
just buy the best players.
Hmm.
You
And
got to
take that cap hit. Yeah.
you got to build a roster, and
All right.
so
Not a, no.
but so it looks like we'll see that tomorrow. His decision on Monday.
Man,
Of course,
that's gonna
Jake.
be interesting, but
It's huge, yeah, like you said, because
'cause,
that's a lot bigger for UConn than it is for the Lakers. If
yeah,
he
the
says no, the
Lakers,
Lakers they got their back.
they move
JJ
on to the
Redick's
next
name
thing.
been
Yeah.
thrown out.
There's 100 other names out there
Yeah,
that'd be happy to.
I saw one of the Pelicans assistants. What's his name? It's in here somewhere. James Borrego. Um, I think he has had a couple of in-person interviews with them too. So they'll find their person,
Oh yeah,
and either
they'll
LeBron
do what
stays
they
and they
do.
try it again
Yeah.
next year, or he leaves and maybe they make a trade for Trey Young. Just throw a name out there, something like that. And they kind of rebuild their roster around
All right.
um, what's his face, AD. Um,
Yeah, but
but
right
yeah, I
now
thought,
The NBA coaching world is just so fickle and it changes every minute. Like,
hmm
we're 1 second fire the next. Like, there's no like it's just crazy the lack of patience for NBA coaches these days is at an all
yeah,
time low. Like, I mean, like we were talking about it the other week. Like, why did Bickerstaff get fired in Cleveland? Like, what did they think was going to happen in Cleveland this year?
hmm
Were they going to be Boston? No, they weren't going to be Boston. Like, why would you
no,
fire
no.
them?
Um, yeah. So,
Yeah,
but
that'll
that's
be
it
interesting.
for. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it for everything I had on my notes. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Well, the only other thing that's more up your alley was soccer. They just won the thing. Now they got Mbappe.
Real Madrid. Yeah.
Real Madrid. I mean, the rich get richer there, right?
It's that's going to be ridiculous. Him, Vinicius Jr., and then Jude Bellingham. That is a
Right. I
scary
was like,
trio.
they
And
just dominated one of the most prestigious, and now they just added one of the greatest players in the world.
yeah, it's going to be and that's kind of one of those things that's been rumored to happen for a while now. But that's
Right.
scary.
As you
And
see it
there's
happen, you're like, wow.
yeah, and there's always and then there's still talk that they'll try, maybe not this year, but in the next year or two they'll try to add Erlen Holland, from Manchester City
Mhm.
to kind of give them a point man because Mbappe can play on
Mhm.
the wing, and that's
Right.
just it's insane.
Crazy, man.
But that's hey that's soccer life. It's like Major League Baseball. It's like college sports. There are
Mhm.
haves and have-nots, and
No,
you can
yeah.
say what you want. There are pros and cons to that system, but part of it is too. It's hey, you get to build these super teams, and it's amazing to watch you. And
Hmm.
then if you hate them, then that gives you something to strive for.
Something to watch at. To watch at,
Yeah.
hopefully beat.
Um, but Real Madrid, they've been there. They've done it every way. They've been there since the beginning.
Hmm.
I don't I don't know if they were the first ever Champions League winners, but they definitely like we talked about whenever was that a week two ago, whatever they by far the most wins of any team
No, yeah.
in
It's
in
not
the
even close.
competition. Yeah, it's not even close. Um, yeah, like we said, 15 in the next 15. They've lost three more, which that is an incredible record. You've made 18
Yeah.
finals and you've won 15 of them.
Hmm.
And the next highest is AC Milan with 7. Um,
Hmm.
that's
It's
just
crazy.
a
Yeah.
crazy thing. But looking back, yeah, actually, oh, that's right. I should have known this. Real Madrid won the first 5 Champions Leagues.
Of course they did.
Back when it
Huh.
started in 1955.
Mhm.
Yeah, they so they've been doing it since the days when it was all your local players and stuff, and then now they're doing it
With
in the
all the
modern world.
superstars. Huh.
Yeah, insane over the last. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Over the last 11 years, they've won it 6 times.
Hmm.
So yeah, just it's scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, yeah, that was they made it official this week, and it's just one more of those things that you're like, oh well, okay then.
No.
All right. Best of luck to everybody else.
All right.
Good time to be a Madrid fan, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure.
um,
For sure.
but yeah, I think we've covered about everything there is from this
Not
week.
everything.
Yeah. So what's done up real good for you this week?
Done up for me real good this week. It's just the normal. I don't know. This just one of those weeks. It's just kind of home. Just nothing too much. I mean, I guess even though it was, took 2 losses, it's just still cool to see the Mavs in the finals. 'Cause like I said, something that doesn't happen that much. So even though we're down 0-2, I mean, to be in June and see my team there, I mean, it's still pretty cool. Because that's only the third time in franchise history, so it's not a all too common. So I mean, that's why I'm probably not taking the losses as hard because I mean, for us, it's pretty cool that we're there.
Yeah.
So, but how about you?
I'm kind of with you. Nothing really jumps out to me this week. Just life's good at the moment, I guess. That's what we can
Yeah,
say.
for sure.
Yeah. That's it. Nothing bad happened this week. Uh, I did get the doctor told me I gotta cut down on a couple things. Get the cholesterol down a little bit. So hitting
I
that.
think they do that. I think they do that no matter what. I
Yeah.
think they got to find something
Yeah.
like,
Uh,
yeah. Once you get to 40, I think they just find stuff.
yeah. Well, no, yeah, and it's right. Do watch
Yeah,
what you eat.
it's all
Think
right.
about the kids being around for that. But yeah, it's.
Exactly.
But no, you're right because I mean I remember I went one time over the summer
Mhm.
uh, during college, and I had the doctor tell me I could stand to lose a few pounds. And I don't know if you remember me in college, but I was a skinny little boy.
Yeah,
I did not need to lose any pounds in college. Now,
yeah.
yeah, I could take some off, sure.
But
Need to,
yeah,
in
what were
fact.
you
But
like?
oh man,
180 wet, maybe.
yeah, back then easy, man. If I got to
Yeah, if it
180
was,
back then, I was like,
yeah,
damn, I'm thick, I'm swole. What's
yeah,
up?
right.
I was, yeah, like, going into college, I was probably a good buck 60, 65. And maybe by the time I left college, I put on 15, 20. But
Right.
you know, now,
Beer will
I
do that for
definitely,
you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, right. Beer and that damn
Yeah,
wings
late
joint
night.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
late night food, that'll do it.
Uh-huh. But, no, but other than that, it was good. So I guess that's my done up real good this week. Still in good health.
Hey, that's
Can't
that's
complain there.
important.
Yeah.
That's
It
important.
was the usual, like you said. It's just what they, watch out for the fast food and
Yeah.
go easy on the red meat, eat fruits and vegetables, stuff that I try to do anyway.
Hmm.
So
Right. Yeah.
um, and but yeah, so that'll do it for us this week. As always, y'all, thanks for listening. Subscribe, rate us, like us, do all that good things. Follow us. We're on all the social media threads, Blue Sky. We're still hanging out on Twitter, Instagram. Check out all the good stuff on the Alabama Take. I know Taking It Down has their 200th episode coming up soon. Alabama Slam just did their 100th.
Nice.
Mal's back. I think she just released an episode today, actually, of the Stare Down. So go check that out. Check out alabamatake.com, of course, where you can see all the podcasts and even some writings. Let's see if anything new this week. No, not just Blaine's review of the Challenge All Stars. But yeah, check it everything out there, folks. As always, keep it done up real good yourselves out there. And Greg, I'll see you next time, bud.
Yes, sir.